is skirt steak. It might look a little awkward for the grill, but it chars beautifully. It's so succulent, and it's a great alternative to flank steak. And if it actually is too big for your grill, just do this. Perfect. Skirt steak loves to be seasoned ahead. It really soaks up the flavors. So I'm gonna make a little herb paste here. I've got some lemon thyme and some garlic, which is gonna give it great flavor. By the way, if you don't have lemon thyme, regular thyme is great. You could also use tarragon or oregano. Scallions give you a very green color for this and a lot of onion flavor. I've got some basil leaves. Now I have a secret ingredient here. I have pepperoncini. Probably the last time you saw one of these was in an antipasti platter at an Italian restaurant. These are great to have around because not only do they add heat, they also add a light pickle flavor. But if you don't have them, you could use maybe a jalapeno and some pickle juice or even a little slice of pickle. You just want to chop them up and take out the stem. And then I'm going to use some lemon zest. If you're using regular thyme, you might want to use 2 lemons, but since I've got lemon thyme, I'm going to use 1 lemon. And I'm going to juice half of my lemon right in here. The acid helps tenderize the meat. So if you didn't bring out your lemon squeezer, here's a little trick to getting rid of the seeds. Just hold your hand right over. It's going to catch any seeds. And now I'm going to start blending it up. Once you've got everything chopped up, that's when you add the oil, and that's going to help really reduce it to a paste. I forgot to salt it, so I'm just going to stir my salt in right here. I have a lot of it because steak needs a lot of salt for flavor. Usually the rule of thumb with salt and steak is you want about a teaspoon per pound of meat, a little less maybe if you don't like things quite as seasoned. Now I'm just going to slather it on. The thing about seasoning up a steak ahead of time, especially skirt steak, is that the more intense your seasonings, the less amount of time you really need to let it sit. So this is pretty intense. I can get away with just leaving this for maybe half an hour in the fridge. It'll be fine. But what's nice is I do this and then I light my grill, and by the time the grill is really nice and hot, the steaks are ready. Steak's ready, grill is ready. I'm just gonna wipe off a little of the excess green, basically because I don't want it to drip down into the coals and possibly cause a flare-up. See, if you cut it in half, it fits. And if you have one of those little mini grills, you can even cut it in quarters. You don't wanna let this go too long. Skirt steak is best served rare. So while this is grilling, don't move it. I really believe that you should just let it get nice and charred on one side and then flip it to the other side. I know there are people out there who disagree with me. So you can do it your way, but I'm doing it my way. These babies are done. I'm just gonna cover them for a few minutes so that they can reabsorb some of those juices. Now, after cooking the skirt steak until it's just rare, the second most important part of serving skirt steak is carving it properly. You wanna make sure that you're cutting across the grain and not with the grain. If you see these little stripes, these are muscle fibers. You want to separate them because if you cut with the grain, you're going to give somebody a big mouthful of chewy muscle. If you cut across it, you're going to get a very succulent, tender piece of steak. So watch what not to do. Don't do this. See how you're getting all that grain? And here's what you should do. Take your knife at a 45-degree angle, and then you just want to cut right across the grain. See that? Makes for much better eating. So after you carve a skirt steak, you're gonna end up with a couple of little straggly bits, but you know what? Those are the very best part.